Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I know that I said that I would give you guys an update on our solar progress in my last video where we did the Go Labs update. However, I couldn't wait to show this guys to you. I haven't seen one anywhere on the internet posts about it anywhere, at least that I've seen, videos about it. So I wanted to get this out to you guys because I feel like it's a really phenomenal deal. So let's do an unboxing here. I've never done an unboxing. I'm not really an unboxing kind of guy, but we just got it today and I really wanted to get it open to show you guys. A little backstory. A couple of months ago, we decided to put our pool pump on solar. So a little update with that we did. I'll show you guys that setup in a future video. However, I bought some cells from a company called Ezeal. It's out of Houston. I'm sure it's just a storage area for a Chinese company, and it's Ezeal. So I got some cells, ordered them from them. They were just 105 amp hour cells. I ordered them, I believe, like on a Tuesday, and I literally got them Thursday, which is pretty impressive. Anybody that's done DIY batteries before, you know that it takes months to get them from overseas. So it was kind of a nice surprise to literally get them in 2 days. Like I said, we are in Texas, so that's probably why it was 2 days. I don't expect that for everybody in the country, but it was pretty quick for us. So I put the cells in a battery box and it added to be a mess, and we are using it for our pool right now. And I'm always looking at their site because they've got some pretty good sales, where I came across a deal that I was pretty surprised about, and that's what I'm going to show you guys today. So like I said, I'm not really an unboxing kind of guy, so you're going to have to bear with me a little bit with this. I don't do a lot of editing on my videos. You know, I'm not that good yet. So this may be a little longer than I anticipated, but that's why I wanted to get a boxing or an unboxing done so you guys could at least see what this is. All right, it looks like a couple of foam pads here, decently packed, some air there, and some thin pads here, just some regular foam. Looks like they just stuffed a bunch of it in here, kind of weird. Looks like it's underneath, and then some foam sheets, I guess. That's pretty interesting, never seen that. Some more of those foam pads with like little compression areas on the side. Like I said, just some regular foam pads here, thin foam pads. I mean, it's always good for something. And then this is what we got. Let me prop it open for you guys so you can see. So that's the Ezeal lithium iron phosphate. It's the 100 amp hour server rack battery. It's fairly new. Actually, it must be brand new because I look at these guys' site all the time and I've never seen it on their site until this last week when I was checking it out. So I pulled the little protecting covers off and it looks like it's just a screw terminal. Very similar to like the SOK batteries that I've seen. I've never touched an SOK battery, but it looks very similar to that, just the screw-in type terminals. It doesn't look as beefy, but then again, I've never seen one in person, so I don't really know exactly what an SOK looks like. Let me find some nuts here to see what thread that is. It looks like an M8. Hold on one sec. So it's actually an M6 terminal connector there. So that's pretty interesting that it's an M6, you know. It is 100 amp hours, and I know that it does have a 100 amp BMS, so I assume that'll be okay, but again, I'm not sure. This is my first ever time looking at a server rack battery in person, so I'm not exactly sure, you know, if that's okay. I know that my build from my earlier battery, they're all M6s, and then my 100 amp hour battery that I have is actually an M4. So I'm assuming this is going to be okay. But you can see that it actually has a display on it. It's got a power button. It's got your dip switches, and you can see also that it's got the RS485 and CAN connectors. Actually, two RS485s, and then your RS232s. I'm not really sure what your 232 is. And you've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bar charge status LEDs there. Your reset button. The only thing I don't see is a circuit breaker on here, but with the display and everything, it's actually a nice little battery. So here it is on the website, and this is what makes this battery a phenomenal deal is. Currently it is $1,131.85. You can see all your specs there. It is 51.2 volts, so your lithium iron phosphate, you know, your normal nominal voltage. The capacity is 100 amp hours. Your lifespan 15 years, cell cycle 6,000, depth of discharge 80 plus, and it's got a 5-year warranty. I didn't see anything that said if you register it or anything like that that you get an extended warranty. And again, your weight 96.5 pounds. I feel like that's pretty typical from what I've heard for lithium iron phosphate server rack batteries. So that's what makes this a crazy deal. Normally you can, I don't know if you can see it cross through, it's $1191.42, which is still way cheaper than anything I have seen out there for a server rack lithium iron phosphate battery. Crazy deal. The new SOK I believe is around $1,300, but it doesn't have a display, it doesn't have communication on it. It doesn't have a power button. It does have a reset button, I do know that. It basically just has terminals on it. Actually, maybe it does have a power button, if I remember right. It just doesn't have a way to wake up the BMS like a pre-charged resistors. I don't know if this one has a pre-charged resistor on it. I couldn't see anything in the online data sheet that you can look at there. I'm hoping there's a manual in here so I can look into all that. But for the money, if this performs how I feel like it probably should, then there's nothing out there that's as cheap as this. All right, you'll have to pardon my carpet in the background there. This thing is pretty heavy, obviously almost 97 pounds. So again, some of the things there, we're gonna go ahead and power it up and see if it'll turn on, or I don't know if you have to wake the BMS on it or not, but let's take a look at it. It starts right up, looks like it's going through some sort of power cycle. Showing, looks like 3 bars charging, so I don't know what that is exactly at. So we've got a green light here, your reset, the run, which looks like it's just blinking there. So no issues there. I guess that means it's good. So let's see what the menu button says here. So the menu, I assume this is all pretty standard. The BMS status, parameter settings, system settings, and that's it. So analog info, so let's check that out. Enter. Okay, so your pack voltage 52.83. Let's see what our temperature is. 33.9. So it looks like it's got 4 temperature sensors plus 2 more probably on the BMS. Sorry, I'm not like super great with all this stuff. Let's see, your cell voltage. Okay, so each cell voltage, so it's like 3.30. Let's see, 3.302, 3.03, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. All right. So that shows they're extremely well balanced right now. That's a good sign. I know it takes a lot to balance some of these sometimes, so that's good. All of them are within 1/1000th of a volt. So let's see here. So that's the cell voltage. Let's see what else we got. Cell capacity. Enter. So we're at 48.2%, which is about the 50% with our 6 bars there. Capacity, I guess, 99.1. Remaining, I guess remaining is 47.8. Again, I don't know if I said this before, but it didn't come with a manual. So I guess the data sheet online is all you really get. Let's see. Okay, and that's all there is on that. So that's your cell capacity. Let's see what else we got. Down. Temperature, cell voltage, cell capacity. Okay, that's all we got. So let's escape out of there. That's your analog stuff. Okay, so BMS status. Let's see what we have there. Status is idle. Okay. Record, or record maybe. Under voltage protection. Over voltage protection 2. Okay, so escape. BMS status. And again, I don't know what these are because there's not a manual. So parameter settings, enter. Non-production manufacturer cannot use. So I know that there has been some of these that you can't mess with them here. But I know that if you do like a closed loop connection, you can get into them and change them, which I don't know how to connect with these. So again, I just need it for a battery. Not really much into doing all that, but it would be good to know. Let's see our system settings here, if you can do anything there. The baud rate 9600. So obviously you can connect it closed loop with all this stuff, and your baud rate is set at 9600. There's nothing else there. Let's see, anything else? All right, so it looks like that's it. I know this looks very similar to some of the ones that I've seen. I am a little irritated. There's a slight, I don't know if you see this or not, the slight little bend right there. But I'm sure that's shipping damage, but no big deal there. But like I said, you know, for the money, this is a crazy deal. Like, you know, waiting 3 months for cells to come from China. I just built a 150 amp hour battery bank, and the price of that was a little bit less than this, but there was no warranty. It's obviously a little bit bigger, but the form factor in this is way better than what I put together, which I'll show you guys in a future video. You've got all the connections here, and unfortunately I'm on my phone, but let me see if I can use my tablet to see if there's anything Bluetooth on it. I didn't see anything obviously on the website or that data sheet that they provide, but there may be something on here. So the Overkill Solar can really see a lot of BMSs out there. Okay, well, allow. I guess it's been a while since I've logged into here. What's nice is it'll search for devices, and then you can see that's way dirty. Metal box. So that's what I named my other battery that I built. Metal box, and the rigid is the toolbox. And it doesn't see anything else besides the ones that I've already built. So obviously there's not a Bluetooth connection in there. So it looks like the screen just went out, but you can still see everything's on and running. Let me power it down, and then I want to take a look and see how it looks like. I can take the top off to see how they're replaceable. So give me a second, and I'll work on that. All right, I got a couple of screws off the top, but it's not letting me open. Let me look at a couple of more screws here. Okay, I think I got it. Let's see here. Just a little bit closer. So you're gonna see just as soon as I do on whether or not these guys are replaceable. Looks like the guy will slide up, and there's a sheet across the top there. So protection on the board underneath. There are all your cells underneath. Be really careful, obviously. Let's do, those aren't really even connected to anything. Those aren't even touching, so I'm not sure. Okay, there we go. All right. get you guys out of here so you can see a little bit better. So they are welded. There's no screws or anything on the terminals. I don't know how that connection is. I mean, you can see across there what our connections look like. Everything's labeled. Some little goop or whatever on them. I don't know if that's a normal looking weld or not. It's kind of icky to me, but you know, again, I mean, or solder, not a weld, with the soldering for your balance leads. But it looks very clean in here. It looks like the wires, they're all protected in this, it almost looks like a heat shrink. Looks like they're really well protected. You can see all of them go out there. I don't see the temperature sensors, but again, they may be in between. And you can see here, this is what the cells are. I'd have to look those up, of course. But I don't know if you guys can see that or not. But yeah, I mean, it looks really clean in here as far as I'm concerned. But again, I don't know anything about server rack batteries. We'll put that down. Looks like all our connections are really good. Everything's nice and solid. Again, I did turn this off just to make sure. Yeah, connection really solid. Nothing seems loose on there. There's your BMS there. I'm not going to pull all this out because I don't want to screw anything up because I'm going to use this guy. But all you guys that do this all the time, you would know how well this stuff is put together. I can't see. I wish I could see on here what size gauge. There we go, 8. So there's double, I don't know if you can see that, double 8 gauge cables heading to the terminals there. So you have a double 8 gauge cable there. I know on the BMS, that one of the BMSs I have, there's double 7 gauge, but it's a 200 amp BMS. So I assume this is fine. And these are all very, very tight. So nice and snug. That looks like it's a sensing wire because you have two more 8 gauges going across to your terminal there. But yeah, so that's the inside. You know, you guys know more than I will about that. All right, we got it kicked back on here. So obviously I didn't screw anything up by taking it apart. Just a little pros and cons. Pros are for sure the price. Number one, the price. It has the communication, obviously still on there, has the communication, it has this display. It does only have one battery terminal, or one battery terminal for each one. And it doesn't have a breaker on it. However, it does have an on-off switch. It is a server rack style battery. It is 100 amp hours. It does have a 100 amp BMS to it. So for $1,190, I believe I said it was, that is a screaming deal. So it's $1,131.85 now, and normal price is $1,191.42. To get something similar to this, I think the EG4s, their ones with the displays, are around $1,750. So that's $600 less. Like, that's, to me, that's crazy that it's $600 less than something that you would get that is similar. I'm not going to say it's equivalent because I don't know all the specs on that battery, but I do know that it does have the display, it does have the communication to it. I do know it has 2 terminals per lead, so 2 positive, 2 negative terminals. But for the money, I feel like this has got to be a really good deal, which is why I bought it. You know, it's a little bit of a game changer for us as far as battery capacity from what we've built, and for being able to build one myself and looking at the cost of that plus the time and getting this, you know, I feel like this is by far the way to go. The battery that I built only has one connector on each side. It doesn't have a display. There is no communication for it. It doesn't have a dip switch. It doesn't have a power on, and you certainly can't put it in a server rack. So, and it was not that much less than what this thing costs. It was a little bit more capacity, obviously, but still, it's this for the time and effort, if you really just want to get something together, this is a crazy deal. Another pro is shipping. So I do live in Texas. They do ship out of Houston. I ordered this thing Thursday night after talking to my wife about it. We went ahead and got it. Ordered it Thursday night. I got the email confirming it, that they received the shipping on Friday morning, and it is Saturday afternoon and it's sitting at my door. It, you know, from the time they received the order, it was an overnight, one-day shipping. It came via FedEx. You can see how it was packaged. So the shipping on this thing was excellent, as well as my single cell batteries that I bought when I bought the 4 single cell batteries earlier this year to make a little 12-volt battery box. It was within 2 days that I received those as well. Another pro is communication. So I actually emailed these guys on either Monday or Tuesday, late Monday or Tuesday, after obviously they were closed, because I was inquiring about the connection with the terminals. I didn't know if it was those like pushing connectors that I've seen, or if it was like a screw-in terminal like this, which I do appreciate it is a screw-in terminal, because you can either use these studs or you can use just the straight bolt that goes in, you know, with an Allen head to it. But I have a bunch of these, you know, what are the grommets, I guess, I don't know what these are called, but these little grub screws. And so and I have a bunch of the 6mm screws, so it's nice that I have a bunch of those. But I inquired about that, and if they could send me a picture of them, just so I could see what they look like. And I also inquired if they had a picture of the battery itself, if it was open, so that I could look at the terminals to see if they were either screwed in or if they were welded in. And they responded to me first thing the next morning. You know, they sent me an email. I emailed them back. They responded to me with some pictures. It wasn't exactly what I was looking for. However, they were very attentive to the emails. And I feel like if you have issues with anything, like they you know, they're very responsive when it comes to emails. And if you call them, I'm sure they would pick up right away if you call them. I haven't had to worry about that yet. But yeah, so the responsiveness of the company itself has been great. Responsiveness with shipping, responsiveness with emails. So I can't say anything bad about them as a company. Some of the cons about it is, one is not having the breaker switch. You know, it'd be nice to have that little breaker on there. However, you can put breakers in line. I had actually already planned on having a breaker leading from my battery to the inverters anyway. So, you know, you have your own breakers that you can always put in. I don't have a breaker in any of my battery builds that are built into the box itself. So for me, that's a minor con, not that big of a deal. It's nice to have a power switch, and then you have the reset button there for powering it off and on. Another minor con is there's no literature that comes with this thing, and I'm going to double check the box to make sure I didn't miss anything, but there's no literature. So it would be nice to have something besides the data sheet to go off of. I don't know what comes in other ones. I'm not, you know, maybe there's nothing that comes in those server rack batteries with, you know, like the EG4s or the SOKs, but I feel like there should be some information, you know. The Power Queens that I have, you know, getting ahead of myself here, but some of the Power Queen batteries that I bought, they come with excellent literature, you know, and they're just a 12-volt battery. So it'd be nice to have some kind of literature, you know, on how many you can put in series and all that. And I'll double check the data sheet that's online, but I don't remember seeing that in there either. I'm assuming it won't be an issue like to put a whole bunch of them in parallel, but so that's one thing, you know, that it would be nice if they had. Another minor con would be, you know, the fact that you can't replace the cells. You know, and I've watched multiple people's videos and they say, you know, replacing the cells, you'll probably replace the BMS before you ever replace the cells. So I'm not, you know, super concerned about that. It's just a minor thing. You know, that was one of the things that drew me to the SOK battery whenever I thought about getting a server rack battery, was the replaceability of it. But if it's got, you know, a 5-year warranty, on it, you know, and they're lithium iron phosphate batteries. You know, I know that it's rare that they do fail. I know that some have, but you know, just another minor con there. So in the end, you know, it looks like it's a really good deal for the battery. I would have liked some M8 screws. However, I don't know, you know, how big the SOK terminals are or the EG4 terminals are. If they are bigger, I feel like this would be great to go directly to a bus bar instead of like daisy chaining them together with the M6s. But you know, I know that the EG4s, they are a smaller gauge wire that goes across to them. So so maybe this is meant to be put on bus bars. My plan is to have a bus bar anyway, so that's not that big of a deal. But if you wanted to daisy chain them, it would have been nice to have maybe a little bit thicker terminal. On the inside, when we did look at it, you know, those two 8-gauge wires connecting together to the terminals, from what I've seen, 2 8-gauge wires basically equals a 5-gauge wire, so it's not quite as thick of a diameter as the EG4s. I believe they use 4-gauge, so it's not quite as thick there, but you know, if you're not pulling that much out of it, you know, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. All in all, I feel like this is an excellent battery for the money. There's been some really cheap ones, you know, you'll see them on eBay, come out server rack batteries that are actually even more expensive than this. Again, I've seen a couple of people talk about the Ezeal company before. Usually it's just the battery cells, which is the reason I got their battery cells, and it was super fast shipping. So they've been around for a little while, but I really don't have anything hugely negative to say about this guy. Sorry, I don't have anything to test capacity and all of that. I'm just not equipped to do all that. So for me, I'm going to run it how it is in this guy, and if it doesn't meet 100 amp hours, I will never know. Just like with my other batteries, you know, I've never really tested them. I don't have the tester for those type batteries, so I don't know if they're pulling that or not. I just know that they run in my garage. But yeah, if you want to pick one of these up, I will put a link in the description. I don't get anything from that. I just think these are crazy good deals for what you're getting. And then once, you know, these get out and get about so that more people see them, somebody will do a battery capacity test on this. I'm sure somebody will do a breakdown video on it. Because for the money, this is the cheapest server rack battery, one, that I've seen, and two, definitely with the display on it, with the communication on it. There really isn't anything that's this well priced out there. So everybody, thanks for watching, and please subscribe, and everybody stay safe out there. Bye. Okay, one real quick thing that I just noticed about these that I want to add in here is the terminal covers for these. They're just the little clip-in terminal covers, as you can see, and I've got that little grub screw that's in there. But what's really cool is, and I know I'm kind of being lame here, but is you can attach this terminal cover in any direction that you want. So you can attach it to either go up to the inside. I don't know why you would want to go to the inside, but it's secure. You can attach it to go down, or you can attach it to go to the outside. I feel like most people, if they have a server rack, which I don't, there it goes. If you have a server rack, you would want it to go to the outside, or if you just have the one battery, you know, depending on where your orientation is of the battery, you would want it to go up or down. So, but it's pretty cool. I just noticed that, and like I said, I've got this, I believe this is a 25 millimeter. Yeah, I believe this is a 25 millimeter little grub screw in there. So even with this on there, it still closes securely with this guy. So just wanted to add that in there. I thought it was a pretty cool little thing there.